Hi everybody, this is Brad Johnson, senior reporter here at the Texan. I'm with Brent Money, a presumptive elected representative in the Texas House, HG2. Brent, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me here.
Do you have a Democratic opponent?
I do have a Democrat opponent. It's a lady who ran in the special election. We're a heavily Republican district. I served on the city council with her. Great lady. She was actually she was a student of mine when I was a high school teacher.
Oh, wow.
And good lady, but I don't think she represents the values of our district as well as I do.
You were part of the onslaught of incumbents, basically. Your opponent, Jill Dutton, was technically an incumbent in the primary, and you defeated her after losing the special election. What message did you take from the results of these primaries overall going forward into the Texas House?
Yeah, I think that Republicans are tired of business as usual in the House. For a decade or more, we've seen conservative priorities languish in the House, and I think it's taken a little bit of time for conservative activists to figure that out and to learn how to discern between campaign rhetoric and what people actually believe. And really, it wasn't until after that special election when my opponent really tied herself to Dade Phelan and that sort of thing that I think it really allowed us to distinguish ourselves.
You have signed on to the contract with Texas. You guys haven't, as a group, you haven't picked a speaker candidate yet.
Correct.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but you're committed to these list of demands essentially to reform the House. Give us the highlights. What are the ones that you feel are the most important?
Okay, I think the most important thing is a Speaker of the House is doing a good job if nobody in Texas knows who he is outside of the Capitol. I've been following Texas House politics now for about 20-something years, and at every debate or forum, they ask, what do you think about the Speaker? Who are you going to vote for Speaker? Will you vote for that guy for Speaker? How do we get rid of this Speaker? The Speaker of the House is not supposed to be a powerful position on par with the Lieutenant Governor or the Governor of the state of Texas. And so what the purpose of the contract with Texas is to decentralize that power and put it back the way it used to be, where the Speaker serves the members of the House instead of the members of the House being subservient to the Speaker. And so that's really the thrust. So several things. Number one, which should be obvious, we're not going to support any Speaker who seeks Democrat support. We're not going to support any Speaker who will appoint Democrat chairs. We're not going to appoint a Speaker who will have a Democrat parliamentarian like we currently do. We're not going to support a Speaker who will allow a majority of members of any committee to be Democrats. We want our Speaker to be 2 terms or fewer. It wasn't until the 1960s that any Speaker, so over 100 years of the Texas House, every single Speaker served a maximum of 1 term. It wasn't until the 80s or 90s where we had anybody serve more than 2 terms. And so what has happened as power has aggregated with the Speaker, the lobby figured out we don't have to lobby 150 House members to get things passed. We have to lobby one guy and then let him either berate people, buy people, or do whatever in order to get the votes needed. And so we think that's not the way that the House should be run.
Overall, though, it's a numbers game, right?
Yes.
How able are you to get a majority that will not support, let's say, Democratic chairs? That's been difficult in the past. You have the threat of another Joe Strauss type coalition. How worried are you guys about that?
I think we have more, thanks to the grassroots, thanks to their generosity and their hard work and just the voters paying attention. We have a huge wave of not just people who ran as conservatives, but really people who are strong backbone people and who are not going to be afraid of what the Austin Swamp can do to us. And so whether it's myself, Mitch Little, Mike Olcott, Shelley Luther, the other signers, Wes Verdell. These are people who have been involved for a while. We're running to change things. We're not running to have the Austin Swamp like us.
Yeah.
And so it becomes easier for a coalition like that to hold, because I think you have a lot of people in the Texas House who want to do the right thing, but they also didn't want to make people mad. Well, if we get enough of us on this side, then they can move toward us. And I think that what you're seeing, even of the people who have not yet signed the contract with Texas, there is a lot of agreement and consensus around what that's trying to accomplish. And I think once these runoffs are over with, particularly if David Covey beats Dade Phelan, then you're going to see more people come over to this side. But let's just say it doesn't, okay? Let's say it's just the 25 of us. If we hold tight and the rest of the Republican caucus elects someone that doesn't meet those principles, they're going to have to answer the voters specifically the next time because they had an opportunity to stop it. In the past, it's like, well, the guy that ran against Dade only got 3 votes, only got 5 votes. There wasn't really an option. This time, there will be an option.
Yeah. So how about you personally heading into the next session? What kind of policies do you think you really want to push for that are top of your priority list?
Yeah, I mean, I think my priorities are the priorities of the Republican Party of Texas. Like I said, I've come here as a delegate many times, and you know, as a freshman, I'm sure there will be some things that are specific to my district that are important. But for the most part, I'm worried about the things that the other delegates here are: border security, lowering taxes, election integrity, abolishing abortion, ending this LGBT agenda stranglehold on our institutions. And so that's where I'm going to be focusing my efforts. That, you know, maybe in authoring my own bills, maybe in helping other people. I really don't care who gets the credit. I just want to get stuff done.
Let me ask you about the abolishing abortion item. Abortion is almost entirely banned in Texas already. Now,
right.
There's some other, like through mail, that's one way that it can still happen. What's next to get to that point? What kind of law do you think needs to be implemented?
I think that there's one thing that needs to be done, and I think it's the right thing to do ideologically, and it closes all the additional loopholes. I believe that God creates every human being in his own image. The Bible teaches us that. I know that. I'm a biology major. Life begins at conception. And so God created man and woman in his own image, and they are entitled to equal protection of the law from conception to natural death. So we right now have a 2-tier justice system for life. We say, hey, we want to protect life, but the life in the womb we're not going to protect as much as a life outside the womb. And I think what we need to do is be ideologically consistent, logically consistent, and say if we really do believe that life begins at conception, then we need to protect life from conception. And so I believe, like our party platform has said for a long time, like our priority last time, and I think it will be a priority again, that we need equal protection of the law from conception until natural death.
Practically, does that include like criminal charges for women who get abortions, or what's that?
Practically, yes, it could.
Yeah.
And so obviously there are some sad cases where women are put under duress, all of those kinds of things, but that could be the case for anything. The criminal law already has those protections and exceptions in place. I personally know women who have had abortions, who have repented, sought God's grace, and been forgiven of that. But they say, if it had been illegal, I wouldn't have done it. We need to stigmatize this as murder because it is murder. And so I think we protect not just the life of the unborn, but we protect the consciences of these young mothers who think they don't have a choice when we say, no, this isn't a choice. And so I think that's the right way to do it.
It's a stark contrast to kind of the broader message we're seeing at the national level. Trump's part of it, but it's not just him.
Right.
He's saying, let's let the states decide, and let's not jump further into this.
Right.
And ban it on a congressional national level.
Democrats never worry about how popular something is. They just ram it through until it becomes popular. We sit around and say, well, is this popular enough to pass? Is this? And we have right on our side. They are calling evil good and convincing people of it. We should be able to call evil evil and convince people of it. And so killing babies is evil. That doesn't mean that every woman who is tricked or coerced or cajoled or, into abortion is evil, but the act is evil, and we need to treat it as such so that we can have a culture of life, a culture of adoption, a culture of caring for life from the beginning to the end.
Brent, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.